Here are 3 things the new Bloodline must do to reclaim their dominance. Now, when I say the new Bloodline, I mean Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and the Tongas. Now, keep in mind that they are down a member. One of them, one of the Tongas, he is out with a torn tricep, which sucks. Tonga Loa is out with a torn tricep, something which he suffered at Survivor Series in the men's War Games match. Now, look, this Bloodline storyline has been going on for a while. And I'm not just talking about going back to, 2020 with Roman Reigns and the Usos. No. I'm talking about this year because we've had ups and we've had downs. We've had Roman Reigns align himself with Jimmy and Solo Sikoa. We've had the arrival of the Tongas. We've had the great arrival of Jacob Fatu. Heck, we even had The Rock join the Bloodline at one point. But ever since WrestleMania 40, this storyline has taken a step back. Roman Reigns losing the Undisputed WWE Championship, no longer the Tribal Chief. Solo Sikoa replacing him, kicking out Jimmy, kicking out Paul Heyman. And as good as they've tried to build up Solo Sikoa. Now, we've had multiple instances of the Bloodline going up against Roman Reigns and various people. We most recently at Survivor Series had Roman Reigns and the rest of the OG Bloodline go over in War Games over the new Bloodline. But when I think about this storyline, when I think about this feud, which obviously we are building towards Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, and then we are going to be building towards Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu, I can't help but think of the 3 things that they got to do to get this storyline back on track. Because at Survivor Series, sure, the babyfaces, they all hit their finisher on Solo. But at the end of the day, it was still Roman Reigns who pinned the guy. He still got the 1, 2, 3. And let's kick off the list. At number 3, it's recruit new members. Like I just said, we only have Solo, we only have Jacob, and we only have Tama Tonga. So you have to bring in someone to kind of help the odds. And I get what you're saying. Well, what do you mean? You got the Usos and you got Roman. Yeah, but Sammy's really a part of this. I guess you could go forward with just those 3. But Hakalu, he's down there in NXT, and you have other opportunities like Zilla Fatu if you wanted to go and get him. There's a lot of instances in which you can go out there and get new members. That family is so loaded. That family is so stacked. That family has so much talent in the Bloodline that it is absolutely ridiculous. And I think as we move forward with this storyline, we move forward with Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, and eventually Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu, which will be an interesting match. I think you got to bring in new people, especially with the Tongas being split up. We're not going to get them versus the Usos, which I'm convinced WWE was building towards. I'm convinced that's what they were going to do, but obviously that injury has delayed things. It's probably because he's going to be out of action, I don't know, 6, 8, 9 months. That's a serious injury. That's going to delay a lot of things. And that really sucks because I think the Tongas versus the Usos could have been a lot of fun. But clearly you can't do that now. And clearly you have to move forward with everyone involved in this feud and this feud, because there has to be a payoff somehow, some way. And I think it needs to be sooner rather than later. If I'm WWE, I'm definitely getting the ball in motion of, okay, can we end the inner Civil War type thing? Number 2, and this is really, really important, you have to reestablish Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, say that 3 times fast, is someone who has been portrayed as the new leader of the new Bloodline. Okay? He is the new tribal chief. He is the new Roman Reigns. The only problem is he does a lot of talking, but he loses his matches, right? Sure, he'll win on PLEs sometimes. Sure, he'll win on television sometimes, but not in singles matches. It's always tag team matches, right? There was a recent stat. He's like 0-26 against Cody Rhodes in singles matches. Like, it's insane. He cannot beat this man to save his life. Solo Sikoa is a perfect example of the office thinks that he's someone, but the fans see right through him. It's like, okay, can he talk? Yeah, a little bit. Does he have charisma? No. Can he work? He can work, but he's not good, right? He's just there. And you have a situation in which you're trying to portray him as on the same level as Roman Reigns, and everyone's like, no, no, that doesn't work for me, brother. We don't believe in that. Why are you trying to pass this off as that? It just doesn't work. And so when you try to sell fans something that's not true and they see through it, it's just bad. It just doesn't work and it doesn't click and no one's believing in it because, look, we all say, well, it's pro wrestling, ha ha ha. Well, at the same time, you have to believe in the storyline. You have to at least get emotionally invested in the storyline. You have to want to see the storyline play out. And with Solo Sikoa, it's like, bruh, we all know you're not being Roman, and it's not compelling on your end, right? It's compelling of who they're going to bring in. How are they going to get to the solo match? But the idea of Roman versus Solo, I don't think anyone is clamoring for that match. I just don't. At number one, and this piggybacks off of number two, you have to make Jacob Fatu the new leader. You have to make him the focal point. You have to, that is the match. You have built up Jacob Fatu so much. He is so good. He has charisma. He has an aura. He has it. He can work in the ring, right? He has the respect of the fans. People believe in him. They see him as a big time star. And so you can push Solo Sikoa all you want as a tribal chief. We all know that it's Jacob Fatu who's a real star. You can build towards Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, but we all know the real match is Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns. The quicker you get to that match, the quicker you make Jacob Fatu the tribal chief, the better everyone, including the fans, will be. WWE will be better off when they make that decision. The only question is, how long do they wait to make that decision, right? If it's me, it's like, okay, urgency, let's get this going. WWE, on the other hand, they don't seem to have a lot of urgency. It's like, well, we're going to get to it. And that's great. And I've loved the Bloodline storyline, like most people have, over the last several years. But for whatever reason, this year, and I think it was due to Roman Reigns being out of action for so long and off of television, I also think I'm not a huge fan of his babyface run. I think he's actually better as a heel because it's weird. Like he still has these heel tendencies, but he can't go full throttle. And so it feels like he's being held back a little bit creatively with what he's been able to do because his character at heart is a heel. He is a cocky, arrogant guy. And it's very hard to get sympathy from fans when you're like that, right? And then doing so as a babyface. It doesn't work all the time. And so if you look at it like that, it's like, okay, well, we got to do something a little different with Roman. Oh yeah, by the way, let's change his music because that's a great idea.